Hi, and welcome to another Monday mindfulness session with White City Place. Thanks to all the occupiers of White City Place for being here and checking in and continuing with these well-being sessions that we have. It's April the 12th, so things are happening, things are moving, so that's exciting. And maybe a little bit crazy too. I can imagine the shops are going to be absolutely packed or big queues everywhere. So I guess I wanted to really focus today on the idea of fleeting moments. This whole idea that things change all the time. Your body is constantly changing without you even knowing about that. Your cells are either replenishing themselves or renewing themselves, recycling. As I'm talking now, just by listening to this, you will have neurotransmitters firing off in your brain, trillions of them, trillions of little synapses making connections all the time in your head. And each connection, each neuron that fires, that activity is gone in a nanosecond, and so it's already gone, so there's something new happening. And I just wanted to bring in the whole kind of body thing, because that's something that you don't necessarily think about. You just take everything for granted, in that, our body's just doing what it needs to do and on it goes. But things change all the time, not just inside, so that's our internal environment, but outside, moreover. And so it's how we adapt to these changes that are happening all the time. And I think it's quite interesting when we've had this, really long lockdown, my goodness, and then suddenly things are going to feel very different tomorrow. And there's this idea of kind of, there's a little bit of urgency, like, oh, I really want to get there. I want to get to the shops, or what pubs with gardens can I go to? Are we going to get in, And it can kind of cause this kind of, almost like a sense of panic. It's like, oh, we've got to get in there. So it's this idea of not clinging to any ideas, as they change. That's great. We can just go along with the flow. The shops are going to be open for a while, hopefully. Hopefully this is the beginning of the end of this whole episode. And that's exactly what it is. It's an episode. So if you were to fast forward 10 years and look back at this time, you'll kind of remember just bits of it. Probably not very much of lockdown. Because there weren't too many significant changes in that time. It was just a lot of Groundhog Days joined together, right? Of course, there'll be things you do remember, but not that many things. And so it'll become a smaller snapshot in your mind, and you will have moved on. You'll have done other things since then, and they will have taken precedence in your memory. So yeah, it's just an interesting time to think about that when things start to change. And I love the serenity prayer, where it's, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I really love that, because it really does make you think about, what can I do? What is possible to change and what isn't? And there's this idea of acceptance, just accepting what is, in terms of what's happening now, the changes that will happen, accepting that as well. We can't really change those things, right? So noticing the things that we can change, maybe through meditation practice, getting to know ourselves better, but also just being very mindful of fleeting moments. And the important thing about the fleeting moments is that today's story is yesterday's news, right? So when we're completely in the present, we are flowing moment to moment to moment to moment. So if we're in each moment as it happens along the track, That's great. That's what we're going to try and want to do. But we cling on to certain things that either make us feel secure, or we just can't let go of yet because we want to kind of ruminate over them. But when we cling to the past, or even cling to the future, you might be thinking about something. Say you're going on holiday. Oh my gosh, I hope you are. You know, and that's all you can think about. You're kind of missing the moments in between. You know, you could just enjoy this time. The holiday will come when it comes. So it's that kind of letting go of the back end, the past memories, and letting go of the front end, the need, the drawing you in. See if you can kind of let go of both ends and be really, really present. And that's really what the meditation is all about. It's about just being here right now. And your present state is one of your most content places. When you're fully in the present, you're fully in the flow. And that's what we're trying to achieve. You want to be in the flow of life. And you know when you're in the flow, you'll be doing something that takes your whole attention. Let's just say, I don't know, you were writing an important letter, or trying to write a story, or reading a really great chapter of a book, or cooking a new meal and you're really following the recipe and you're in it and you're smelling everything as you go. And or another great idea about being in the present moment is the Hollywood is called the honeymoon effect, where you are, you know, on a first date and you are so in the present. You can remember what you wore, what you ate, what you said, what you talked about. You're fully focused, and it feels really good to be in that space, doesn't it? Generally, if you're creating something, or if you're listening to a beautiful piece of music, something that lifts you, something that takes you out of your past thoughts and your future thoughts, something that takes you away and brings you right back here to where you want to be, that's when we're at our most happiest, which is a really good thing to remember. So that's why we try and focus on the present, so that we can bring more of that habit into our minds. Okay. All right, so let's start then. So close your eyes. And this is probably the easiest time to be present, because it's instantly new in that you've just closed your eyes. So instantly you'll see exactly what's behind your eyelids. You'll get a sense of how you feel. So let's go through some of those things now. So just noticing your body. Does it feel relaxed? How is your breathing? And how is your energy? Quite often energy correlates with mood. For low energy, we might feel a bit flat. For high energy, we might feel quite upbeat. If our energy is too high, it's quite difficult to settle. So just noticing where you are somewhere along that line. And be okay with whatever state that is. I'm going to start with 3 breaths. I'll count you in so you don't need to even remember or think about it. But we're going to make sure that the in-breath is quite nice and deep. We're going to hold it at the top of the in-breath, and then we're going to let it go. And the out-breath is going to be longer, and I'm going to count you in. So we're going to breathe in for 6, we're going to hold for 4, and breathe out for 7 or 8, however much you can manage, really. But we're going to do it nice and slow and nice and deep. So whenever you're ready, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold it, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold it, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold it, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then just let that go. Let that go and notice how you're feeling right now. Just really how you recover. You let go of the counting, you've let go of the breath. And just don't breathe a certain way, just notice how you're breathing naturally. Nice and easy. And then just gently bringing your attention to the heel on your right foot. And it's just getting a sense of where that is in your body and seeing if you can sense it. Sense its presence from the inside. And then going to the ball of the right foot. And then the right big toe, second toe, third toe. Try not to move the toes. Fourth toe and the little toe. So it might be difficult to differentiate between the toes because they're so close together, and it's hard sometimes to get that sense in your toes. So don't worry too much if you can't feel them separately, it's fine. And then take your awareness to the instep, so that place, that smooth bit of skin between the ball of your foot and the heel underneath your foot, on the sole of your foot, and imagine that somebody has pressed their thumb quite strongly into the sole of your foot in a nice way, in a kind of acupressure way. So get an idea of what that would feel like, the indent on the sole of your foot. Great, and then we're going to move from there to the calf, your right calf. That's a heavy muscle, so just sort of getting some sense of that relaxing, just falling off the shin bone, just really nice and easy. And then moving inside your right knee. Getting a sense of how that feels. And then moving up the thigh muscles on the right leg, all the way along into your right hip socket. And again, a very overused joint, so just getting some idea of maybe softness here. Just feeling it, just letting go. And from here, traveling inside the hip socket, right into the center of your pelvis. So just sort of underneath where your belly button would sit, but inside, in the belly, just sitting there in the middle. So letting that be your literal center point in the belly right there. And then I want you to imagine with your next breath, so when you breathe in next, take your inhale through the sole of the foot. So imagine back to where that indent was on the right foot. Breathing in through that indent, into the foot, through the ankle, along the calf, into the knee, up the thigh, and into the hip. So you might need to breathe in for a good 5 or 6 and slow down the breath to make that journey. But don't worry if it feels a bit zippy, that's fine. You just want it to feel nice and flowy. It doesn't have to be too fast or too slow. There's no right or wrong. So whenever you're ready, breathing in through the sole of the foot, passing through the ankle, maybe softening as you go, up through the calf, into the knee, all the way up the thigh, into the hip socket and into the belly. And as you breathe out, going back out in reverse. So going back out through the hip, through the knee, through the ankle, and through the sole of the foot. So taking a few breaths like that, in and out. And if you're sitting cross-legged, it'll be interesting because it'll be a bit of a kind of zigzag. If you're sitting on a chair, it'll be different. So just wherever you're sitting, there's no right or wrong way. You can still get a sense of all of that, even with your legs crossed. And as you're going along with those breaths, just see if there's, as you pass certain areas, a little check-in if they feel like they're holding on to any muscles or if there's anything else that could just be let go of. Just taking one more. If you're halfway through, just finishing that one that you're on. No rush at all. Always honor your own breath. And when you come to the end, take your mind's eye back to that place inside the belly, that central place. And from that central place, just notice how both of your legs compare, how they feel, if one feels a bit different to the other because it's had some activity on it. It might be that the left leg feels a bit empty. It might be nothing at all. It just depends on how you feel with it. And so we're going to balance things up. But before we do that, let's go straight into the left knee, just to begin to feel inside that knee, and again seeing if there's anywhere that could be softened, let go of, relaxed. Getting a sense of softness inside the knee. And then traveling down the left calf into the left ankle. Really softening there. You might be aware of an ankle bone on either side. Or you might just be right in the middle of the ankle itself. And then the heel of the left foot. Ball of the left foot, the smallest toe leading up through the center to the biggest toe on the left foot. Difficult to separate them, but if you can, amazing. But just getting a sense, maybe it's just a kind of fan of the toes up to the big toe, trying not to move the toes, so you're just getting a sense from the inside. And then coming into the instep of the left foot, so the sole of the left foot, as if there's been a thumb imprint pressing into that space. So getting an idea of that first, feel it. How does that feel? Can I sense the sensation. And whenever you are ready, your next in-breath, breathing in through the sole of that foot, traveling up past the ankle, maybe softening there, through the knee, into that hip socket, softening there, and all the way into the middle of the pelvis. Out breath in reverse, going all the way back down the leg, traveling back through the center of the foot again. So just taking a few like that. A few breaths in and out. And just taking one more in your own time. And when you finish that last one, take your attention back to the center place in your belly, just underneath your belly button. Just inside the belly where it's nice and soft and a little bit of space there. And just see if now both legs feel a little bit more even if they weren't before. Yeah. So coming to the sacrum, so that flat piece of bone just at the bottom of your spine. And imagine that's the bottom of a zip. And you're zipping up the spine. See if you can go slowly though, up each vertebra, one at a time. Traveling up your back all the way until you get to the bottom of the neck. And just like you would if you were zipping up a jacket, you might zip up to the top and you might feel yourself kind of straighten out a little bit. And then you let go of the zip and then just relax into it. Now notice your jawline. Does it feel relaxed? Can you let it go? Thinking about where your ear, the bottom of your ears, where they start, where they meet the jaw, in your mind's eye, traveling down each side of the chin, down to the bottom of the chin. And seeing if you can, let that bottom jaw just relax. And maybe you can just allow your tongue to sit in the lower palate. And just see where it's touching, maybe the back of the teeth. And getting a sense of that long tongue. Just resting there. And your eyes, allowing your eyes just to drop into their sockets, just allow them to get heavy. Letting go here. Maybe feeling some softness over your forehead. And your shoulders just dropping away from the ears, just nice and heavy. Allowing your neck to be a little bit longer. And taking your attention now to the back of your eyelids. So when you look at the back of your eyelids, it's quite nice actually if you're in a light room or facing a window. You'll get, and it doesn't matter if you're not, it's just that you'll enhance the light a little bit when you have your eyes shut. So depending on how much light you have, you'll have a certain colour behind your eyelids. So this is a literal view. It's not something imagined. You are actually looking at the back of your eyelids. So see if you can soften the gaze a bit. Try not to look too hard. And just notice what you see. So if you soften the gaze and just allow whatever turns up at the back of the eyelids to happen, it's a little bit like the fleeting moments. Don't hang on to a certain shape or color, just let it pass by. If it does, you might just have a still image, and then you might find you think it's still, and as you look at it a bit longer it starts to change. So really just being the observer, as if you're sitting in your own little movie theater watching the screens of your eyelids. And noticing that every breath you take in is present. Every breath you breathe out is present. But your last breath doesn't exist anymore, and your future breath does not exist. The only one you have right now is the one that you're breathing. So you can stay with that idea. This is all I have right now. And even that breath, even this breath, is also changing. It's moving forward. So the beginning of the breath doesn't exist anymore either. But your body doesn't hang on to previous breaths or look for future. It just is here right now, giving you what you need right now. So this is your true present moment. So really trying to keep the focus behind the back of the eyelids. And if a thought comes in, see if it can become a fleeting thought. See if you can let that go. See if it can just go, okay, I'm going to come back to the present. The only thing I have is my breath. And see if that thought passes by. And don't worry if it doesn't, but you're just noticing if it's a thought that consumes you, i.e. you have the thought and you can't help but go into the thought, and then you suddenly remember you're supposed to be meditating. It's fine. When you notice it, that's the mindfulness. So don't be too hard on yourself if you get caught up in thoughts. We all do. We really do, all of us. So you're not trying to empty the brain. You're just noticing the spaces between your thoughts. So try not to bat the thoughts away. Just change the focus to the bit between them. And that's right now, focusing on that in-breath and that out-breath. And whatever you can see behind the eyes is here and now. In fact, if that helps you, we're going to sit here for a couple of minutes. I want to give you the time to try and do that. And if it helps you to do that, you could breathe in here silently in your head and breathe out now. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to play with that idea. And after a couple of minutes, I'll bring you back out. But just see if you can do it. 2 minutes doesn't sound like very long, but it can be quite a long time when you're trying to keep a focus. So see how you go, starting now. Okay, that was 2 minutes. So just giving yourself a little bit of reflection time. And just thinking, oh, you might have disappeared a couple of times. But notice how many times you did. Maybe it was a few. Maybe it wasn't at all. If it wasn't, that's amazing. If it didn't happen at all. But if you did have any thoughts come in, you'll probably think that they were big, that they lasted a long time. In the grand scheme of things, they really wouldn't have. You probably lost yourself in thought just for a couple of seconds. It would have seemed like longer, but it wouldn't have been. So just don't worry about that if you did. All right, so with your palms on your, so if you've got your hands on your lap or in front of you, if you could just turn the palms up. There's 2 nice things about this, really. When you turn the palms up, one, it kind of opens up the shoulders a little bit and can help you kind of open up the chest a bit. But the other thing is that when you've got your hands the other way, the palms are down, it's more of a kind of closed meditation. You're really working inwards. And there's just this idea that when you turn the hands up, you're kind of open to whatever might be happening. And neither way is right or better than the other. It's just really how you feel. Sometimes if you feel vulnerable, you might want to have the hands the other way. But just for now, if you have the palms facing up, and try not to move your fingers. I just want them to lose any motion. Just keep them still. And we're going to go through each finger and see if we can isolate them in that we're going to try and feel each finger on its own without moving it, and from the inside. So starting with your right thumb, just taking your awareness there and just seeing if you can feel it in isolation from the other fingers. It might be the crease at the bottom of the thumb, maybe. Might be a little bit bent. You can feel the creases on the actual knuckles. And then move on to your right index finger. And notice as I mention each finger, you might feel a little bit of throbbing in each finger, pins and needles, maybe. And then the middle finger. fourth finger, and the little finger. Now a nice little gentle jump over to the left little finger, the fourth finger, middle, index finger, and thumb. And now take your attention to both hands and the fingertips on both hands. They're the most sensitive part of your hands. So you might get an idea of tingling maybe, or just numbness. It might be difficult for you to ascertain whether the fingers are touching each other or they're not, and it doesn't matter. It's just interesting to see if you can get a sense of where they are in space. But it's very difficult when you don't move your fingers. But just bringing that awareness, just being here and now, feeling that. Yeah, and I want you now to take your next in-breath, traveling in through the fingertips and then traveling all the way up through the center of the arms. We'll do it together in a minute. Actually, I'll count you in, that'll be better. But the journey is going to be coming in through the fingertips and go inside your arms. So travel up through, just like we did with the legs, traveling up through the wrists, through the elbows, up the arm, into the shoulders, into the neck, and then a nice straight line right up through the center of the head to the crown of your head. So just before we start, get an idea of the crown of your head, as if somebody's been tapping it gently, and you can just like we did with the foot actually, you get an idea of the indentation or just that pressure very lightly on the top of your head. When you get to the top of the head, that's the top of your in-breath. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine the breath just washing over you, all the way down over your arms and back out over the tops of your fingers, and that'll be the out-breath. So I'll do a couple with you counting, and then I'll just let you do it yourself. So when you're ready, breathing in through the fingertips, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, in, sweeping all the way up. I'm not going to count. Take it at your own pace, sweeping all the way up. Inside the arms to the center of the head to the top. Maybe even pausing there if it feels nice. And the out breath, just washing over you, over the sides of your head, down the shoulders, over the arms, back out through the fingertips. Just doing a few of those. Feel that coming in, sense of energy. And the out-breath softening and just letting everything go. And when you get comfortable with those, I want you on your next breath in, whenever that is. There's no rush. You don't have to time it with anybody or anything or me. Your next breath in, breathing in some light, some love, a good vibe, anything that you choose, that you want to embody. Breathing that in through the fingertips, all the way up the arms, right up to the crown of the head, and pausing with that beautiful feeling for a moment, and then exhaling, just letting it all wash over you. Now you can give that feeling a name if you like. Might have a colour because you've got your eyes closed. Or you might just sense some light, imagine that coming in. Whatever it is that you choose, and then giving it a word, so maybe joy or love or peace or happiness or whatever you need. It might be clarity, gratitude, health, whatever you need. So breathing in that beautiful energy right in to your body, all the way up to the crown of your head, and just letting it wash over you. And maybe as well as you're breathing in, you might feel the heart expand. You might feel the rib cage just lift and separate a little bit. As if the energy is really quite literally filling you up. When you get to a point where you feel like you've filled up a space, you can just let the breathing in through the arms go if you like, and just sit in that space behind your eyelids, just feeling that energy coming into your body, or just staying in the energy that's already in your body and just giving it that nice positive affirmation and holding that little bit of peace for as long as you like. This is where I will end the session from my end, but please feel free to stay with it as long as it feels good for you. So stay with it as long as it feels nice, and just ease out of it whenever you're ready. There's no rush. Hang on to those good feelings for as long as you can. And I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.